we're bringing you the results of the CNN-IBN, the week pre-poll survey. All the results, remember, in the week news magazine that comes out on the stands tomorrow, conducted by CSDS and Lokniti. Let's now bring you the estimated vote share figures for Karnataka as per our pre-poll survey. The Congress, with 37% of the votes, is up 2% from their 2008 tally of 35%. The ruling BJP is 23%. That's down a whopping 11% from their 2008 tally. The Janata Dal Secular of Devagowda is 20%, gaining just 1% at the moment. Yediyurappa's Karnataka Janata Paksh makes its debut with about 7% of the votes. The other parties, including the parties of Sri Ramalu and Reddy's, will get the remaining 13% as per our estimates. How does this all translate? 224-member Karnataka Assembly. Let's go straight across to Dr. Rajiv Karandika, Director of the Chennai Mathematical Institute, who's our statistician. Rajiv, how does it translate according to your numbers?
Well, this 14% advantage that Congress has over BJP translates to an absolute majority for Congress, at least if the polls were held last week when our survey was conducted. 117 to 129 is our estimate of seats for Congress. BJP down to 39 to 49, Janata Dal Secular to 34-44, others 14-22.
So are you saying that as per these numbers, the Congress should get a simple majority?
Yes, as per this 14% advantage will surely get to Congress majority, but of course this is pre-poll and there is a gap. Our survey was finished last week, so we have at least 2 weeks gap, and depends on how things unfold during this period.
You know, that's a critical point, Dr. Shastri.
Congress was clearly ahead.
That's right. Dr. Shastri, you were making an important point. The Congress has messed up candidate selection. That could make the difference of those 15-20 seats, because at 117 to 129, the Congress is just about 5-7 seats above the halfway mark. Should candidate selection start hurting the Congress, we could once again face a hung assembly. So there is a rider you're putting in there.
Undoubtedly. And I'll add a second point. In the same survey, we asked people a question that once the candidates are announced, is there a likelihood of you changing your preference? And nearly 1/4 of the respondents said, yes, once we see the candidates, we could change our preference.
And this is in a state where elections are bitterly fought, margins can be 5,000 and less.
True.
So the Congress's victory is not guaranteed, even though in the pre-poll survey we are saying that they are inching towards a simple
Prior
majority.
to the start of the campaign, prior to the announcement of the elections, the vote share was what we projected. But with the way the parties have chosen their candidates, with the way infighting has happened in certain parties, with the way the campaign has proceeded in this week and is going to take place next week, there could be major changes. So may hold many surprises.
You know, in that sense, Ram, as a Bangalorean again, would you like nothing more than just a clear majority for any party? Do you believe the last 5 years, the kind of infighting, the fact that you haven't had one chief minister who's lasted a full term, that the people would like a clear and decisive verdict, or are the people just as confused as the politicians?
Well, speaking as a Bangalorean and as a resident of the state, I speak for a large number who would want one party to get a single majority. And particularly if either the JDS or the KJP, and even worse, God forbid, the Reddy brothers, are in a position to supply those extra 5 or 7 seats required for a simple majority, the kind of rent seeking these kinds of, units can extract is too terrifying to contemplate. So, whatever party, whether it's the BJP or the Congress or the JDS, one would feel much more comfortable if one of them crosses the halfway mark.
You know, what's becoming clear, Sachi, is that the Congress is going to be the single largest. But those 15-20 seats could make the difference. What Ram is saying, that you could well be in a situation not unlike 2008-9, where individual MPs, MLAs, extracted a price, and a heavy price on your system. Yeah. Is that the fear somewhere that is lurking below, which could eventually tell the voter, let's give a vote one way or the other?
It can happen, because this 14% gap which is already there, again, it's not an even one, because JDS comes in as a factor in about 60 constituencies very strongly. So concentrated. But in other constituencies, if this 14% gap is there, it can even widen, so that the Congress could do well, get more seats.
You believe the Congress could get more?
No, there's one
Professor Shastri is giving another view. He believes that the candidate selection could actually start damaging the Congress.
I've travelled in 13 districts.
You don't get a sense of that.
The candidate selection is a little bit botched up in about 20 constituencies, because you must remember this is the first time in its history the Congress unanimously announced a list of 177 candidates in the first list. But it has never happened before.
Yes, Pani, you want to make a quick point?
No, I haven't travelled in Karnataka yet, so I'm sure Professor Shastri would have a better sense from the ground. But overall, having covered many elections, the trend we've seen in the last few years, I think what Ram was saying, that people have got tired of these coalition politics where small parties seek their pound of flesh. We saw it in UP, we saw it in Bihar, and in Karnataka, where there were, identity politics led to, 3 or 4 parties coming on. Increasingly, Indian electorates in the states are voting clearly. So I think I would go along with Sachi that if your figures are right, as of now, Congress probably will get more, not less.
Congress will get more, not less. You're in a minority, Professor Shastri. Professor Shastri is warning that there is a problem with candidate selection.
There is a problem with candidate selection.
Yes.
But if you look at North Karnataka and Old Mysore, in North Karnataka, the Congress may have an advantage with the split between the BJP and the KJP, the vote split. They could get the advantage. And in Old Mysore, there will be very many close fights between the Congress and JDS. So taking the point made further, that the vote percentage difference between the Congress and the other parties could work to their advantage. What I was saying is they could have done a much better job with...
You're saying that the Congress could, ideally, given the disarray of the BJP, should have been at 140, 150.
They should have come up, they could have made a comfortable victory, but they have made the job more difficult for themselves, is what I'm saying.
There is one other point, Swapan, how important, you said for the BJP it's a salvage operation. Is part of the salvage operation at least ending up more than the JDS? Can the BJP afford a decimation in Karnataka? And let me take that a step further to the big national question. If there is a decimation, will those voices within the rank and file grow that Narendra Modi take over the BJP post Karnataka right away?
I think those voices are going to happen regardless of what the outcome is. Regardless of what the outcome is.
Will they get even more vociferous if you do disastrously in Karnataka?
What will perhaps happen if the outcome is completely disastrous?
Yes. Which
as I expect it to be.
Which means a third place.
This disaster, let's not quantify it for the moment. I think in any case, the responsibility as to why this happened is going to lead to certain uncomfortable questions being asked of the old guard. And that tangentially always benefits.
Because as our surveys also shown, Modi is a preferred candidate.
Despite the anti-incumbency against the BJP in Karnataka, still has a personal popularity. So there will be a lot of people who will say, look, if in this adverse climate, if he can get that, certainly if we can create a more favorable climate for him, that will be. So I think the voices in its favor.
Does that surprise you? That Kannadigas are saying that Narendra Modi is slightly more popular than even a Rahul Gandhi, that BJP stocks are down, but it hasn't affected Narendra Modi's own stocks, particularly within the hardcore BJP supporters.
Well, I have believed for some time now, Rajdeep, that while Mr. Narendra Modi claims his two real assets are development and governance, in truth, his two greatest assets are named Dr. Manmohan Singh and Mr. Rahul Gandhi.
Right. So you're saying that if it ever were a presidential style election, it's actually Modi standing out in comparison to a Manmohan and Rahul.
Absolutely.
There is no otherwise great attachment that the Kannadiga voter would have for a Modi-like politician. This is an increasingly urbanizing state.
Well, when you put Rahul Gandhi against anyone, if you put Rahul Gandhi against half a dozen congressmen, a Kannadiga would prefer those other congressmen. I won't name those congressmen for fear that they might lose their jobs. But there are many Congress MPs and ministers whom a reasonable Kannadiga would prefer as a national leader to Rahul Gandhi.
You know, there is one more thought which is coming in, Sarita, that if these figures stand, or if these figures suggest that the Congress starts declining slightly in Karnataka, do you see Devagowda emerging as a kingmaker, and would he be ready to go along with the BJP, provided his son Kumaraswamy was made chief minister? Is that the other scenario that could still emerge?
Well, that is the scenario that Gowda and son would like to emerge. In fact, when you asked about the lineup of chief ministers and asked people to rank the chief ministerial favorites, Kumaraswamy, I would think, came first, because people see him as the person that can catapult himself in any kind of a murky scenario towards chief ministership. He has done that in the past, and people expect him to be very good at that game even in this election. So yes, I would certainly think that if there is a lack of a simple majority for the Congress, it would be Kumaraswamy who would definitely be at a position of ruling, of making a king in this state.
That's right. But that at the moment, the best case scenario for Kumaraswamy is the Congress going below 100, because then he really becomes the kingmaker of Karnataka. But that doesn't seem to be happening at the moment. As per our pre-poll survey, it is showing the Congress inching towards a simple majority. Finally, some good news for the beleaguered Congress party at the moment. But the BJP really must take credit for that, for having scored in many ways a self-goal.